You know those moments where everything in your life finally feels like it's lining up, like things are making sense. You've got a plan, you've got a routine that works, you're moving forward, and then out of nowhere, everything totally shifts. Now, in today's episode, I am sharing some really big, very personal updates about what's been going on behind the scenes in my life over the last few weeks and how quickly things have changed very drastically for our family and what it means for this podcast and for you. And if you can't tell, I am smiling really big right now as I am recording this because I'm very excited to share our news with you. So, if your life has ever felt like it's gotten turned totally upside down overnight, like I kid you not, overnight, or if you're walking through a season where nothing is going according to plan, this episode is for you. Welcome to the Modern Homemaker Mom podcast. I'm your host, Janae Schmidt. If you found yourself here, it means that you're ready to break free from overwhelm, create a peaceful, well-run home, and finally live with more structure, margin, and stability. Here you'll find practical rhythms, real-life systems, and faith-filled encouragement you need to simplify your home and reclaim your time so that you can show up fully for the life God is calling you to. Let's get started. Okay, so today's episode is going to be quite different from what I'm usually sharing on here, just because I feel like I have to update all of you guys. I mean, I have hundreds of you, thousands of you listening all the time, every single week, and my life has changed quite a bit in the last month, and I haven't said anything yet here on the podcast. I've just been sharing things as if nothing's been going on. But there has been lots of change, and I have two little secrets that I'm going to share with you about our personal life. And so where I'm going to start right now is by saying that if you could see my house right now, I mean, if you could really see it, if instead of listening to me via audio, you were watching me through a video, you would probably laugh because there are boxes stacked all over the place. My walls are bare. All of the pictures have come down. Half of our furniture is sold. My kitchen looks like I haven't made a proper meal in days. In fact, there are apples on the fridge that we got from an apple orchard about a month ago, and there's fruit flies flying around, and the apples are bruised, and I haven't had a chance to take care of them. Honestly, my house kind of looks like a tornado came through. And that is because as I am recording this and I look around my house and I see boxes and totes and things everywhere, it's because we are in the middle of packing up our entire life. Because we are going to be moving, not just moving to the other side of the city or kind of thing, like we are moving to a whole new province. And more than just moving, there is something else that's going on over here. I'll just say a lot has changed. It's changed very quickly, and I want to take today's episode to take a little bit of time to slow down, and I want to invite you to slow down with me as well, because this episode is going to sound, as I said, very different than my typical episodes, and I think that you might find, as I'm sharing what I am going through lately, you might relate it to or feel like it resonates to parts of your life as well. So let's talk about what's going on. So my husband and I, as I said, we are moving. Now, this move is something that has kind of been always one of those someday things to now what's happening is we are leaving in 3 weeks. And when I say leaving in 3 weeks, I mean we are leaving in 3 weeks from the time that we decided. At the time of this recording, we are moving in 4 days. So lots going on. My husband and I have been talking about moving to Alberta is where we're moving. So right now we are in British Columbia, Canada, and we are moving to Alberta, which is where I actually grew up and lived for 20-ish years. Now, my husband grew up in BC, and so when I met him, I moved to BC and we just planted our roots here. He has lived in Alberta before. He's worked there for 5 years and really liked it. Alberta, I mean, I'm not going to get into it too much, but it is just much, much cheaper to live. So my husband and I have talked about moving back to Alberta for years, honestly, kind of ever since we've gotten married. It's just, like I said, it's cheaper to live there. The cost of housing is dramatically different. Taxes are cheaper. And we've always said, yeah, maybe someday. Like, we never really put a date on it or got super, super serious about it. There has been times where we've gotten serious about it, but we just didn't feel like the timing was right. And I don't know, it just didn't feel clear. God didn't feel like he was like saying, okay, like you need to move now. But this fall, in September actually, we had family from Alberta come to visit. And we were just sitting around on the couch and chatting in my living room. And they started asking me some really real questions. Questions like, okay, so where do you see yourself in 5 years? And what would it actually take for you to get ahead and reach those goals financially? And what's holding you back from making a change? And like real life, real deep questions that really, really got me thinking. And that conversation caused a lot of things to shift. And so all of a sudden, my husband and I could see what we hadn't really been able to see before. And while we absolutely love where we live, like the reality is that we've been feeling a little stuck. We live very comfortably here, but we're not thriving, I guess you could say. We're kind of just treading water. And so one of our goals is we would love to buy a home someday. If you've listened to me before, you've probably heard me here on the podcast say that we are renting, and our rental property is 956 square feet. So it's not a very large home, but we do have an acre or so of land where we have been homesteading, and we've really loved that lifestyle. But we live in one of the most expensive cities in Canada, aside from Vancouver and Toronto. We live in one of the most expensive cities in Canada. And while we are living on primarily a single income so that I can stay home with our daughter and future children, that dream of buying a home has seemed pretty out of reach because this is not exactly a place to live for young families who are trying to get ahead. Yes, it's absolutely stunning here. The landscape is beautiful and we love it here, but it's just financially not exactly the best place for young families to start out in life. And so what we realized is comfort cannot be the reason that we stay somewhere if God is asking us to leave. Now, we made the decision to move very, very quickly because, like I said, we had talked about it on and off for over 2 years and quite seriously at times. So then when I had family come and they really sat us down with some serious questions, my husband and I just took a couple days. We were doing a lot of driving, so we had lots of time one-on-one to really have good conversation about it. We made the decision really quick. We felt like God was making it clear that we needed to move. And so at first, when we first made the decision, we gave ourselves a month and a half to prepare. We decided that we would move in the middle of November. And that felt very doable. It felt manageable. But within a couple days of deciding that, things kind of escalated and our timeline moved up. And just like that, we decided that we would move in 3 weeks, pack up our life and go. And I think a lot of that is because, and maybe you're like this as well, I am one of those people, and I think my husband is the same, where when we make a decision, we don't want to drag it out. It's like, we've decided that we're going to move, so let's just make it happen. Like, let's start packing boxes. Let's get moving boxes off of Facebook Marketplace, and let's wrap things up and let's go. So that's what we decided. We decided to shorten our time frame of how soon we were moving, and instead of moving in a month and a half, we decided from the day we made the decision to move in 3 weeks, which for a lot of people that we told, they, like when we told my mother-in-law and my mom and my other side of the family, like my dad, they were like eyes popping out of their head. Like they couldn't believe it. They're like, wow, that is a lot of change and a lot of work. But my husband and I are very organized people and we felt confident that we could pull it off. And so it's been insane. I won't deny that. I've had days where I've cried and I'm stressed and I've had to pause lots of other areas of my life. And if you know me, that's not something that I love doing. I don't love change. And specifically what I don't like about change is that transition period, living in that limbo. As I said earlier, like I haven't made a really good home cooked meal for probably close to a week now, just because my husband and I have been having leftovers and easy meals like appetizers that we can just throw in the oven real quick. And my house has not been kept by routines that we usually keep just because, you know, we're trying to pack up our lives and get on with life. And sometimes that's hard for me because I'm one of those people. I just really like my routine and all that. But you know what? When God says that it's time to do something, it's time. And even though I don't like change, I like rhythm, I like routine, I like the predictability and stability in life. I also know that lots of change in a short amount of time is often when God's in it. And, God's timing is not our timing. And in my experience anyways, a lot of the time when we have had this idea of when something would happen, or we make plans of when something's going to happen, it almost always changes. And God says, no, that's not my timing. Here's my timing. It's always almost different than ours. But it's really beautiful when you learn how to embrace that and just go with that. So our second very exciting news is just when I thought that life couldn't get any more intense, we found out that we were expecting baby number 2 in August. And this was something that we really were excited about. We planned for baby number 2, and I remember waiting for the day that I could take the pregnancy test. I was so excited, and I really felt deep down in my soul that I was pregnant. And so when we flipped the pregnancy test over together, my husband and I, we were just really excited to have baby number 2 come. Now, at the time, so when I found out I was pregnant, it was August, I was knee deep in course creation. And when I say course creation, I'm referring to my course, Modern Homemaker Method, that I talk about on this show all the time. And I had been working for months behind the scenes to get my program ready to relaunch in this fall. So October 2025 is when I planned on relaunching the program. And then boom, pregnancy hits, which like I said, we planned to get pregnant, but I didn't plan on all of this change happening. And so when I get pregnant, I always get sick in the first trimester. Like the first trimester kind of hits me like a train. I get sick, I'm tired, my energy dips, my motivation totally tanks. I'm nauseous, and I just really don't feel like myself. And so suddenly the energy that I needed to finish everything in the course and wrap everything in the course up, it just wasn't there anymore. And so again, I had to surrender this to God and give this to God and just be like, God, I trust in your timing. You know the beginning from the end. You know my story. You know my goals and my dreams and what I want to do here. And I'm just giving that to you. And like I've said before, God's timing is so different than ours. And that's not to be a punishment to us. It's actually, I think, when you look back at things in hindsight, it's often because he's protecting us. And so I wanted everything to run on my timeline, but he had something better in mind. And so I'm learning to trust that even at times when I really don't understand it. Now, over the last couple of weeks, since we've decided to move, my husband and I have been listing things on Facebook Market like crazy, and we have been able to sell over $2,000 worth of stuff that we honestly didn't even need. We went into we have a sea can, we've got little storage spaces on the property, like a little storage shed, and we had a crawl space, and we were just going through all of these spaces and making lists of things that we could sell, taking pictures, listing it on Facebook Marketplace, and just selling things because we don't want to have to move so much when we're moving to a whole new province. And that money that we've been able to make is going to go towards our moving expenses, and that's a huge blessing for us. Now, yes, our house right now is an absolute mess. Our meals are no way close to being Pinterest worthy, and my routines are completely undone, but somehow everything just feels right. Sometimes you just go through things and you're like, we are doing exactly what we need to do. We are right where we need to be. And things have just really been falling into place for us. While I'm recording this right now, our daughter, who is 19 months old, is staying with my mom for the week, which has been such a huge help for us. I don't know if we could have pulled off the move in 3 weeks if she didn't get to stay at Grand's house for a week, because she's very busy right now. And I was packing boxes, and I look over and she's unpacking the box I just packed. And a lot of my tears came from from trying to juggle pregnancy hormones and emotions, and also trying to pack with my daughter, trying to help, as you could say, even though it was kind of undoing a lot of things, and having to pause to make sure that she was being fed and going down for her naps. And at the time, my husband was still working, so I was kind of doing things a little bit on my own. But I did have help from my mother-in-law. She was taking her a couple days for sleepovers too, and now she's with my mom, and it's been a huge, huge help. And something I just want to say here is, God is not just in those big decisions, he's in the daily ones too. And I think something that's really important to remember ourselves is that it's really, really important that we don't put God in a box. Because if He is calling you to do something that feels impossible, just know that He can make a way. I mean, do you think it felt possible for my husband and I to pack up our entire home? We have like a homestead here. I had to sell my chickens, which was really sad, but I had to sell my chickens. We had to sell a ton of our belongings so that we can move to a whole new province in less than 3 weeks. Do you think that felt super possible when we first thought about it? Like, I'd look at my husband, I'm like, do you actually think we can pull this off? Like, there's a lot to do if you actually think about it. And you know what? God paved a way. And it might be messy. It might be inconvenient at the time. It might throw you off your entire timeline and what you thought, how you thought things were going to go. But it will never be too much for Him because He knows the plan that He has for you. So after all of this, after all that I've shared today, what does this mean for you? So to you, my listener, my friend here, my community, the first thing I want to say is that this podcast is not going anywhere. I still 100% plan to be showing up here weekly, pouring into you and walking with you through your own journey as a homemaker. But I do have to share that because of everything that's going on, which I'm sure you can understand is a lot right now, my course, Modern Homemaker Method, is not going to be reopening this October like I had originally planned. And I'm honestly really sad that I'm not able to relaunch it this fall because I was really, really excited about it. But I know how powerful this program is going to be. And there's a few women that I have let have sneak peeks inside of it, and they are just as excited as I am. They've said like, wow, Janae, this is so incredible. Like, this is going to be such an amazing resource and tool for women. Like, I am so excited for you to launch this. And so it is absolutely coming. It is absolutely going to launch. But right now, God is asking me to pause, and I cannot work against that. You know, if God says something, that's how it's going to be. So that is what I'm trusting. And the new launch date for the program is set to be early in 2026. And the good news of all this is you can still join the waitlist, which is where I've had tons of people already joining. And I would really recommend that you do join the waitlist for the course relaunch, because that's where you're going to be getting first access to the program when it launches. Anything you need to know about the course is going to be sent to your email through that waitlist. You're going to get the best price with the only discount I'm giving and exclusive launch bonuses. So in the meantime, make sure you're joining the waitlist. As you're waiting for the course to relaunch, you can join the waitlist through the link in the show notes of this episode, or you can directly head to janaeschmid.com/waitlist, where you can become one of my VIPs. And make sure you're also subscribed to this podcast, because like I said, I'm going to continue pouring into you and showing up here every single week where you can be tuning in. And this is a space for you to be encouraged, inspired, and really encourage you to slow down and embrace the life that God is calling you to. So make sure you're subscribed to the show. And thank you so much for tuning in this week. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope that it inspired you. And maybe even there's some things that have resonated with you and you feel like, you know what, like God is speaking to me this way, and maybe I inspired you to really trust in His timing, or to take that leap of faith and go the next step, because anything is possible. So anyways, I will see you next week, same time, same place. Did something in today's episode encourage you? If it did, would you take a minute to hit subscribe and leave a quick review? It's such a simple way to support this show and help other homemakers find this encouragement as well. And if you're looking for even more support in your homemaking journey, come join our free Facebook group. Just head over to bit.ly/homeroutines. Thanks for tuning in today. I'll see you in the next episode.